What defines any particular physical environment is a set of ever-changing variables. It is this specific set of variables to which plants and animals adapt that creates each of the different biomes and makes them each unique. These four variables I'm talking about are the presence or absence of light, available nutrients, temperature, and certainly moisture, or the availability of water. Water affects all biomes, whether by its presence or by its absence. Water is the major factor that determines the kind of life that can survive in a given environment. An aquatic biome is an area permanently dominated by the presence of water. Aquatic biomes can be broken down into two basic types: freshwater and marine or saltwater. Freshwater biomes include rivers, streams, ponds, lakes, and freshwater wetlands. Marine biomes are oceans, seas, coral reefs, estuaries, and marine wetlands. The water we need to survive, or freshwater, is defined as water that has a salt concentration of less than 1%. While water covers most of the earth, only 3% of the world's water is fresh. That's only 3 gallons out of every 100. But here's where it gets hard to believe. Of those 3 gallons of fresh water, 99% is frozen in glaciers or ice packs, or it flows underground in aquifers where most of the plants and animals on Earth can't get to it. If you combined all the water on Earth, starting with the oceans, ice caps, and underground aquifers, then added all the Great Lakes and Great Rivers, plus the countless smaller rivers, streams, lakes, and ponds from all around the globe, out of every 100 gallons of water on this Earth, only 8 tablespoons would be fresh surface water. But it's those few drops of fresh water that make all the difference for life on this planet. Let's take a look at some of these freshwater biomes, starting with its simplest divisions. Ponds and lakes can range in size from a few yards wide to thousands of miles across. But no matter how large or how small, the ecosystem of a pond or lake can be divided into 3 zones: the littoral zone, the limnetic zone, and the profundal zone. The littoral zone is the part of the lake or pond which is shallow, usually along the shoreline. Here, life is profuse. The sun shines in, warming the water and feeding the algae and plants. The algae and plants then provide protective cover and food for insects, crustaceans, and animals. Offshore, where the water is deeper, the surface area is called the limnetic zone. Here the water is still warmed by the sun, supporting lots of tiny, slow-moving life forms. Plant life in the form of phytoplankton and animal life in the form of zooplankton. You can bet that where there is tiny life, there is bigger life to eat it, like fish. Finally, beneath the limnetic zone is the profundal zone, the deep end. Here the water is darker and colder. The remains from the creatures above settle here after they die and are consumed by organisms called heterotrophs. Because most ponds and lakes are isolated from other bodies of water, the introduction of different species from new locations is limited or non-existent. This limits the amount of diversity that exists in these ecosystems. In the next category of freshwater aquatic biomes, you'll find streams and rivers. It's moving water that makes these different from lakes, ponds, and wetlands. The source of a river or a stream may be mountain snowmelt, runoff from rain, or the outflow of a lake. From its source, a river or stream flows until it empties into another body of water. Where the two bodies meet is called the mouth of the river or stream. It's important here to note that a lake or stream changes in character as it moves. Early on in its journey, as the water moves swiftly from the heights, it's clear and contains high levels of oxygen. But at its place of origin, a stream or river may have comparatively little plant or animal life. As the water slows and the channel widens, we begin to find great diversity of plants and animals. Finally, as it flows towards the mouth, the water picks up sediment and less light penetrates into the lower depths. Fewer plants are able to grow and there's less oxygen in the water. As you can see, the river or stream environment changes at different points along its length, so different biomes can exist in what is actually a single stream or river. The third type of freshwater aquatic biome is wetlands. You may be familiar with some names for wetlands: marshes, bogs, swamps. They're also known as fens, moors, prairie potholes, bottomland, playa lakes, and vernal pools. And their locations are just as diverse as their varied names imply. These are areas of standing water that support aquatic life and can be either freshwater or saltwater. Freshwater wetlands have the highest species diversity of all the ecosystems, and they're found in every climate and on every continent, except Antarctica. Wetlands can be found on floodplains, along rivers and streams, on the margins of lakes and ponds, and in other low-lying areas. Both above and below water, wetlands support an immense variety of plants and animals. For many creatures, living wetland plants offer a direct source of nutrition. When the vegetation dies and breaks down in the water, it forms small particles of organic material known as detritus, which feeds small insects, shellfish, and fish. Those creatures, in turn, feed larger fish, reptiles, amphibians, birds, and mammals. Wetlands provide enough cover and nutrition to provide a breeding ground and nursery for species ranging from fish to waterfowl. Wetlands can also serve to control floods. They act as a sponge in times of high water. And wetlands can help conserve water by charging or adding fresh water to underlying aquifers.